Good morning everyone and welcome on the Sunrise Safari. We've just done a tyre change that the Ferrari pit crew would have been impressed of. Did have quite a lot of help from James and Jamie though, but we are just putting the jack back on and we're going to get going. My name is Brent and I'm going to be your guide on the Sunrise Safari here on Djuma Private Game Reserve. I have Andrew on camera and James and Jamie will be out on tracking team trying to help me find. Unfortunately, we still only have one vehicle. A very professional car doctor is coming today, who will make all of our mechanical knowledge look insignificant. So hopefully he'll have both vehicles up and running by Sunset Safari. And also don't forget, today is fireside chat, and we'll be discussing what's happened during the week. So we are now more or less ready, hopefully, to continue. And move the seat back. We've got earpieces. Okay, let's get going. Sorry about that. So one of the joys of being live is the fact when we have a flat tire, it has to be done with immediately. And with only one vehicle out, you have to deal with us just finishing off the change there. So, but the nice thing about being live is we're also interactive. You are able to ask us questions about what we're seeing on the safaris, and you can do that by sending us an email, and the email address is questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag Safari Live if you're on Twitter. So let's get out there and see what we can find. So last night at about 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard some lions roaring. Hang on guys, just got to say good morning. Morning everyone. So we're going to go head up to the northern boundary and head down towards the eastern boundary and see if we can find any tracks. Hopefully those lions that were making a noise last night have decided to grace us with their presence. But a beautiful morning here. You can see it's getting quite warm. I'm not bedecked in gloves as I usually am, so quite pleasant. Hopefully the worst of our winter is over. So I'm just going to get hold of the Game Drive channels so I can see what's happening out there. Unfortunately, I normally do that before we go live, but this morning obviously we were under a bit of time constraints with our record-breaking tire change. Morning mobile stations, route and updates please. Hello. We've got lion tracks here, right on quarantine clearings. And they're heading up the road, so we're definitely going to follow up on those. So you can see, looks like an adult male, possibly a female. Let's see where these lead us to. Stations is in Konzo of Bengala, heading west on Buyatala Access. I'm going to be following. Copy, thanks. So 10 degrees Celsius, 49 Fahrenheit, so a little bit warmer than it has been. You can see the lions actually slept here. So for those of you new, you'll notice my head peering over the side of the vehicle. And what I'm doing there is just checking where the tracks went, making sure they don't move down another road, but here they continue on. So as in Swahili we would say, moja kamoja, which means straight ahead. Gonna lay down again here. I'm not gonna stay on these now. We want to get on the tracks quickly. There's another vehicle following, says they've turned off to the south. So we're gonna check here. Maybe they're heading towards Impala Plains. So I'm just gonna chat to the other vehicles who are helping me follow up on these lines. Diana. Confirm you want me to check the power lines? Copy, thank you. I've got tracks on the power lines heading west. So what's happening now is the other vehicles are out. We're fanning out in sort of a three-pronged attack. We're in the center on the tracks, and we've got two vehicles either side of us, seeing if they don't wander off in those directions. Still here and still going almost due west at the moment. So the rising sun is coming up behind us, throwing this beautiful soft light. So a few of you might have noticed where we started this morning, there was a fence next to us, and Maggie was wondering whether that stops the animals going to certain parts of the property. Maggie, that's just a fence around the owner of Juma's house to stop the lions coming and visiting him while he's relaxing at home. So the tracks aren't here anymore. Just give me a second, guys. I just need to concentrate a little bit. I didn't see where they went off the road. What we're going to do is we're going to check Impala Road that's right here. I think they might have cut the block like that. Always want to double check. I think they might have come down this big game trail here. Oh dear. No tracks yet. I'm going to check a little bit further. There's another game trail there. Otherwise I need to go back to where we saw the last tracks and have a proper look on the ground. No. They have come back and they've jumped around and met here. Andrew can show you there's tracks going in all directions. I'm just going to jump out of the vehicle and try to figure out which way they went last. See, it looks like they've been playing here. You can see lots of scuff marks jumping. Now one of the more important little animals when you're tracking is a dove. And you can see there's a nice very fresh dove track from this morning. So now I'm going to try to see whether that dove track is on top of the lion tracks. So they've played around here, but it does look like they've crossed into this block here. I'm just going to call it in on the radio and send the other vehicle down towards the boundary between Djuma and Arathusa. I'm going to carry on. I think they might loop back towards the road. If not, we'll cut through to the boundary between Djuma and Arathusa and drive up the boundary to see if we can find any tracks. So, excuse me for 2 ticks while I'm on the game drive radio. Diana and Konzo Zingala heads west into the block, about off Impala Road, about 100 meters to the south of junction with the power lines. If you can check power lines down to the Arathusa where telebrake. They could still be quite close, so I'm looking very carefully into the bush to the west of me here. Quite a lot of zebra tracks in the area as well. I wonder which lions these could be. Definitely looks like a pride. Copy, thanks Orbs. I'm going to check Impala Road through to Triple M and then head north. Andrew, I hope your cat spotting eyes are on today.
That they are.
Diana, the Nkonzo crossed straight west between into that little drainage line just to the south of the power lines. Then check Impala Road through to the break, and then head north on Triple M. Aubrey's coming south from the Curry Gate. From about 100 meters further south of where you are, they cross west into the block. So if you check power lines down to the break. So we did have the tire change this morning, and Reese is actually asking, have I ever had to change a tire in front of animals? Reese, unfortunately I have. I've had to do it in front of lion, leopard, elephant, buffalo, and of course the normal ones, giraffe, zebra, impala. Being out in the bush and going off-road after these wonderful animals that we follow on a daily basis does unfortunately lead to quite a few flat tires. I still quite vehemently proclaim that I'm the only one who hasn't had to change a tire. This obviously was James's fault and whatever James did last night, and then I arrive in the morning and I get a flat tire that was overnight flat, so definitely James's fault. James and Scott seem to like the exercise of changing a tire. Myself, I prefer not to change a tire, but obviously I have had quite a lot of practice at it. Once when I was driving from the bustling metropolis of Maun in northern Botswana up to the concessions that my family used to have right up in the north of the country, we used to carry 2 spares, and on that particular day we had 5 flats. So we actually changed the protocol because it's about 250 kilometers, which doesn't sound that far, but that 250 kilometers generally takes about, depending on the time of the year, 7 to 9 hours. So it is quite an ordeal, and a lot of that is spent in low range second gear. Sorry guys. so I've just heard from Aubrey, the tracks of those lines have crossed into Arethusa. So we're going to make our way to where they crossed and we're going to cross across with them into Arethusa. But yeah, so I've had lots of flat tires, and you get quite good at quick changes, especially when you're surrounded by a herd of about 100 elephants. But it is quite exciting to change a tire in those situations. I'm just going to chat to Orbs quickly, see exactly where those line tracks crossed, and then we're going to follow. Morning, Orbs. Morning, 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 everyone. Stations, I'm going to be crossing west. Okay, so unfortunately I have to go through the whole radio procedure again as I'm crossing across to Arethusa, which is on a different channel, and I've got to do the same updates again, so I do apologize about that, but we'll be back with you shortly, and hopefully we'll be fresh on the trail of these lines. Morning, mobile stations. Brent from WildEarth crossing. Are there any updates for Safari and Dal, please? Standing by. Just on those Nkonza now, they've crossed west into Safari and Dal around the power lines junction. I'm going to check parallel to the south now. So we're going to be checking really carefully now for tracks. So I'm not 100% sure which lines we're following. I've got a sneaky suspicion that it could be the Styx Pride. So we're checking now. I'm just going to jump up here and sit up on the door. It gives me a bit of a higher vantage point. It's quite a hard road, so I want to make sure I don't miss any tracks. So the track should come about opposite from here. Figure it out. It should be around here that they pop up on the road. If not, they could be in this really small block just to the east of us. no tracks yet. That's not to say they haven't moved through the block. There's no tracks crossing across, which is positive because we know they're between the Triple M brake and parallel road. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go just forward a little bit ahead here and turn off the car, and we're going to listen. Of course, unless the tracks pop out. There's some Impala off to the right here. They are looking a little bit jumpy. You can hear some oxpeckers up ahead of us. They might just be waking up. They might not be on any animals just yet. So we're going to listen for a little longer, and then we're going to move around to the next road that cuts off to the east. And if we find no tracks over that period, then we'll go back to the last tracks. So we can't hear anything at the moment, so we're going to start up and head off. Keep a close eye out on the road for tracks. And we know that lions can walk, when they decide to, incredible distances, especially with the Birmingham boys around. I think a lot of the lion prides will be trying their best to avoid any possible confrontation with those male lions. So guys, I'm just listening to the other updates on the Game Drive radio. just on the radio for a second. Sorry, last station, can you confirm that's the Nkonzo that came from Vuyatela? Copy, confirm they're on Sibambili. Okay, well, that's a little bit disappointing. They've crossed that road. They're very close to where we last had tracks. It seems like they've walked behind us. So while we were checking this road, they've come onto this road behind us and headed the opposite direction, out of our Travis area. I'm going to go check if we can get a glimpse from the boundary road, but it is quite unlikely, unfortunately. Other than that, we're going to stick to the original plan and head back into Juma and see what we can find in the north and the east. So what I can hear is that they're in a very deep drainage line, and they don't have a very good view. They can only see sort of a tail and the bottom of one in the bottom of a very steep drainage line, just across our western boundary on Arethusa. Nice. Young male kudu. There's an older one up in the road. There you go, browsing off a bush willow. So the lion tracks we were following, Andrew and John are wondering which lion pride this might be. I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm going to let the guys try establish the sighting. Even though it is off our Traverse area, we'll let them establish the sighting before I start bothering them and asking them which lion pride it is. So I will try find out shortly. I'll just let the guys settle down and enjoy those lions for a few minutes and find a way to get into that drainage line to view them before we start peppering them with questions. Sneak forward a bit. There's a bit of a bigger male. He looks like he might be out in the open a little bit more. Also feeding off a bush willow or a combretum. Beautiful corkscrew horns, spiral horns, which lets us know which family they're in, and the truffle-legged family or spiral-horned antelope. Quite often in certain parts of South Africa called the grey ghost. It's said for every kudu you see there's 4 you don't. for such an incredibly big antelope, they do have an incredible knack of being able to just sort of melt into the ether. Okay. I haven't quite given up on those lines yet. It sounds like they are moving and could be heading southeast, which would mean they would move back into our Travis area. I'm going to just go close to that area and see if we have a little bit of lion luck this morning. Sorry guys, there's a lot of traffic on the Game Drive channel, and I'm just trying to figure it out. There's quite a few different people talking, so I'm just trying to figure out which direction those lions are heading, and then I'll be back with you. I'm going to be on the Game Drive channel for a second again. Station controlling that Ngala sighting. Does it look like they're going to cross into Safari and Dow at all? Copy, confirm if there aren't Safari and Dow. I'd like to take a standby for that position, please. Okay, copy, thanks. I'm going to be heading back north. Okay, so it doesn't sound like it sounds like they've changed direction. They've moved away from our western boundary for the Safari and Dow. So I'm going to go back across into Juma and stick to my original plan. I'm quite sure that these weren't the lions I heard roaring at around 2 a.m. while I was suffering from a small bout of insomnia. So let's go back and have a look on Juma on the northern boundary down towards the eastern boundary. Lisa G was wondering about that Nkuhuma lioness who got killed by the Birmingham boys, and she's wondering will we be able to have access to the autopsy results from that lioness. Lisa, I'm not 100% certain. We can ask. Whether they decide to release those results or not is obviously up to the state vet, so I can make some inquiries. But even then, those results will only be ready in a couple of months. They'll be heading off to Onderstepoort, the big veterinary department of the University of Pretoria, for tests. there's a lot of wondering and going on about what's happening with those Birmingham boys and their possible takeover of the Matimba male territory. Miss Jen from Texas is wondering if I've ever seen a male lion coalition take over prides without killing the cubs. Miss Jen, unfortunately not. It is a part of nature that as soon as they do take over a pride or an area, they will immediately kill the cubs. And what this does is it makes the females come into, or initially a false estrus, and then from there into a full estrus, so they can then propagate their genes rather than the genes of the predecessors. So unfortunately not. It is very much part of lion dynamics and social behavior to remove the last set of cubs. So the lions are that way, about 1.5 kilometers from where we are now, unfortunately just beyond our reach for now. But we must remember, for every animal that walks off, hopefully there's 2 that walk in. So with new males coming into an area, there's going to be quite a lot of havoc around for the next few months. You'll quite often find that prides will be split, sometimes into 2, sometimes into 3. You might even find a single lioness by herself, and 2 over there and 3 over there, and they're all just trying to avoid those marauding males. And sometimes this can cause breakaway prides to form, but normally those prides will come back together. When prides form breakaway prides and whatnot, it's more to do with pressure, or if a female's got cubs of around the sort of 1.5 year age, she might break away to avoid the new coalition coming in. But that is less usual. Normally when pride breakaways form, it's when a pride gets really, really big and there's too much competition for food. So I'd rather break away to have a better chance at finding enough resources to keep them sustained. So chatting about prides that break away from their natal territories, Natasha on Twitter is wondering about 3 subadult lions we saw on drive, and we actually saw them right here where we are at this very moment, and they are known as the Shimungwe pride, and she's wondering if there's been any updates on them and why would there be 3 subadults by themselves. So Natasha, what's happened is the majority of that pride, which was originally a pride I used to know a long time ago called the Castleton pride, the majority of them was initially killed by the Mapocho, female and male alike, and then later the Majinga lions also then killed quite a few of them, and those are the 3 surviving members of that pride, and they've become completely nomadic to just avoid all the different male coalitions, bless you Andrew, in the area. So they were up here in the north, and as far as I know, they as far south as you can get in the Sabi Sands at the moment, near the Kruger boundary, near Skukuza. So they basically just jump all around the Sabi Sands at the moment. They've even gone into the Manyeleti, and that's to try avoid all the different male coalitions. The likelihood of that pride surviving, unfortunately, is very little. They've got 2 young females and a young male by the looks of things, that, if I remember correctly from what we saw. So not much chance of them making it through. So we're just bypassing now sort of the Sabi Sands offices where the ecologists and and whatnot live, and the tractors and different earth moving equipment. And we're gonna move onto the northern boundary now and start heading east. So guys, I've got to go through a little dip here. We might have a little bit of break up in signal, so I'll get through it as fast as possible. Sorry, Sima, can you go with that update again, please? Copy, I'm on Gallagher Shortcut. I'd like to join you. Sorry guys, I've got to go quite quickly. It seems like some different lines have been fired and they're on the move, so I'm going to have to go put my foot down a little bit to get there. So bear with me, it's going to be a little bit bumpy for a while. So I'm just going to be on the radio for a second if I get a chance. It's time for a Ferrari safari. So, lions. I wonder who can figure out which lions they are. By all means, guys, try to guess which lions we are rushing to see. And you can do that by emailing us questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Which lions are we on our way to see? I assume a confirmed best approach will be from Zoe's Balanites. Copy, thank you very much. So it looks like these lions are mobile, following a very similar direction to the following all morning. Present, I haven't managed to bounce them off the back just yet, but the drive is but young. So it looks like these lions are heading directly after the other lions. So I wonder who it could be. We're back on the other lion tracks that we started following this morning. We have some excitement. I think it's going to be very interesting, and it ties in so nicely to what we've been chatting about all morning. I mean, we started the morning on lion tracks, and now we are rushing to see some lions, and with all the really interesting lion dynamics that are happening at the moment, this sort of is quite ideal, so we can continue and go more in depth in that conversation. I think it's going to be quite a warm day today. I think we're going to be losing layers far faster than we have been. Nearly there, guys. So we're almost there. We're going to start slowing down shortly and starting to scan for the different animals. Okay. I'm standing by at Balanati's Junction with Zoe's near the older Misikaya. Hold on, they're just ahead down here somewhere in this drainage line. Andrew, keep looking for lions or even possibly a game drive vehicle or two. There we go. I spotted a game drive vehicle. Must remember we don't have a spare tire today. Morning guys, thanks very much. Sorry? Okay, whoopsie, hold. There we go, bounce, bounce. Over the tree. Here we go, I've just had a brief visual behind the termite mound. Thanks a lot guys. There we go, that's one of the Matimba males. And apparently there are some Styx lionesses ahead. Oh, he's got a thorn in his foot. And there's a woodpecker. Really giving that marula tree a good pounding. Okay, guys, they're going in some thickets, so we're going to have to try and stick with them. But really exciting. So I'm pretty sure the other tracks we're following then are more than likely the Inkahumas. And this is possible. But I will try to find out a little bit later. I can see the lionesses. If you look up ahead in the distance, I'm going to try. Bless you, Andrew. I'm going to try leave these males here and get around to the females. I'm looking if the cubs are actually here as well. I don't think anyone's seen them, so they might have been left somewhere hidden away. So hold on guys. So guys, I'm going to just let everyone know where the lions are heading to. Yours, if you're on quarantine, come down to Philemon's dip and then take, well, I know it is Rebecca's, that cuts to the sort of west from quarantine, just after, from Philemon's dip. Animals are mobile, due east at the moment towards that road, and general direction is quarantine. So we go, the 3 Styx lionesses, looking a little hungry. So possibly on the hunt this morning. But very typical lion behavior happening here. Walk, lie down, walk, lie down. The Matimbas are on their way through now. Seems like he's got a little limp. Ginger Matimba. And Hairy Belly is just beyond them. Wonderful to be able to catch up with these guys. I was wondering when they might come back, especially now that I've just heard the Birminghams are much further to the north, so this is sort of a safer area, and that's why probably the Nkuma and the Styx Pride have made their way here. Try to find a nice open area to drive through, keeping parallel with them. But you must remember we don't have a spare tire today, so I've got to be extra careful. Going to try and move around the head, keeping up with them, and we can stop and view them as they walk towards us. Sorry guys, I'm the only vehicle left with the line, so until the other game drive vehicles get here, I am unfortunately going to be on the radio a little bit. Standing by, Craig. If you get onto Rebecca's, probably 200 meters from the junction with that drainage line joining Philemon's dip on the northwestern side of the drainage line. The animals are still mobile, almost due east. Copy, my vehicle's off now. I'll listen for your audio. Yours, I'm probably due south of you now, just on the edge of the drainage. Here we go, Andrew. It's amazing how she's walking. She seems to be leading the charge, not lying down as much as the others, stopping and checking around, see if there's any possible prey species. So she lifts her nose there and tests the air, see if she can pick up the scent of any potential prey species. Oops, sorry. Walking right past the front of our vehicle. So it looks like I can't see any visible injuries on any of the lionesses so far. So they must have managed to skedaddle before the Birminghams got to them. It's possible the cubs might be here. You hear that little contact call? Just listening, seeing what's going on. Hey firm Craig, well it looks like they might get stationary now, but if you come on, or Finn's, Rebecca's, you should see where yours tracks leave the road. We're just on the edge of the drainage line there. You can see a little bit hungry. Obviously been quite a stressful time for these lions in the last while, with the Birmingham boys chasing them off that buffalo kill. Comes the next lion there, Sandra. You can see how close she is to us, right in front of the vehicle. Takes absolutely no notice. And where are the lazy boys? I'm sure they'll be following slowly behind. There we go. So this is very, very typical lion behavior. Walk, lie down for a little bit, continue to walk.
Brent, Matimba's coming on that side.
Thanks very much. And you can see Yours is out enjoying the bush with us today. And he's just spotted over my back. It looks like the hairy-bellied Matimba. He suddenly ended up on the wrong side of the drainage line. It's what happens when you don't keep up with the ladies. He is a magnificent specimen of male lion, even though he is starting to feel the pressure from those marauding young Birmingham boys. Andrew, keep a lookout for the ginger. He might be after you. Where's Mr. Ginger? You can see he's scent marking those quarry bushes. The lionesses are up on the move again. Let's just move forward a skosh. Get him out from behind those bushes. I think what we're going to do is do what we've been doing, loop around so we can spend some quality time with them. It is getting quite thick up ahead, so let's see if we can keep up with them. I'm quite sure Ginger's going to appear somewhere behind us shortly, but I really want to be up at the head in case they do decide to hunt something. Like the lionesses are lying down, or two of them are. All three are there actually. Let's go see if we can get in there. Hopefully the males might come join them shortly. It's getting warm quite quickly, so and possibly not going to be as active as long as they have been. But who knows, maybe today is just a warmer day and we could easily have another cold snap at some point. Sorry about that, Andrew just using some compressed air to keep the lens as clean as possible to give you guys the best picture possible. Still on the move. Where are the big males there? At the back somewhere? Especially as the day warms up, it's going to be walk, lie down far more frequently. And I think it is getting warm enough that they might even consider hanging around for a bit. So guys, I'm sure those two males are slowly mobile towards us. Hopefully they'll pop out shortly. Looks like yours is going to go have a look where they are. There comes one of the males now. Just see him through the bush. So I'm just going to have a quick chat to Craig. Sorry, Craig.
Did you see them when they were on safari? I'm just wondering if these wounds on this lioness here is from Birmingham's or if there was another altercation somewhere on that side.
I don't know. I didn't think the tracks we were followed this morning across into Arethusa were, or into Sibambili were these guys.
No, apparently there were guys, they were talking in the east that there's tracks coming north.
So there's another set of tracks that come across the Buffelshoek break, down onto quarantine onto power lines
All along central.
straight into Sibambili.
That's in Kahuma.
That's what I think. I think that's the Nkahumas that have gone into Sibambili. Our comms are quite bad that side, so I couldn't hear what the guys were saying. I know they found them, but I think that's the Nkahumas, especially if we've got the Styx here. Looks like she spotted something. It could possibly be in a pile or something on the other side of the drainage line.
These lionesses definitely look a little bit back to the tree. Like I say, this one here is a couple of punchy marks on the ground.
Let's just reposition quickly. Oh, I now know what she spotted. A little scrub head disappeared out of the bush just in front of her at very high speed. Looks like she's going to sniff.
I have had a run-in with this pride, the Styx pride and these males.
So obviously the Styx pride do have those 3 little cubs, and Christy in California is wondering, where are the cubs? Christy, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It is possible that the female with the cubs might not even be here. She might still be further to the east with the cubs, and this is the other 3 members of the Styx pride. Now, there should be 4 lionesses, so one is missing. So I might ask Craig in a second if he has heard anything about where the female with the cubs are. And Andrew's trying to find the male behind that bush. He is there. You can just make him out to the right of that tree. And Susie was also wondering about the cubs and whether lionesses ever forget where they put the cubs. Not in my experience. They generally have a good idea of the area that they leave the cubs. I think that contact calling we saw a little bit earlier was possibly more for the other females than it was for cubs, but it was a really nice little soft ow, ow, which is a very distinct lion contact call. Craig, has anyone seen the cubs?
No, that's what I'm trying to find out, if there's
Any report of them? So there we go, guys. Craig is going to try to find out from the Eastern Channel if anyone's seen the other lioness and the cubs. I haven't seen whether one of these females is the lactating female yet, but we will keep a good lookout. The 2 to the left of us definitely aren't.
morning show. I just want to find out when last year you did this.
So obviously being a little lion cub and left alone in the bush for long periods of time, it can be quite dangerous. So Tina on Twitter is wondering whether they instinctually know to keep quiet. Most definitely, Tina, they pretty much curl into little balls and they keep very quiet and sleep most of the time. As they get a little bit older, they sometimes can get a little bit more boisterous and playful and move a little bit from the areas, but generally they will keep very quiet and sort of undercover to avoid other predators like other lions and hyenas and leopard.
But apparently they might have had a run-in with Nkuhumas last night.
Sure. So just an update from Craig there. Apparently the Styx females might have had a run-in with the Nkuhumas. The lioness that's lying in front of Craig, we haven't had a good look at yet, but he says you can see some bite marks or puncture marks on her bottom. Nothing too serious, but and there's two prides that both fall sort of under the Matimba's jurisdiction, for lack of a better word. But as you said, the females will fight amongst each other for territory. And obviously the Nkuhumas and
Should have been line with this lioness. That's where my found. You see him there? Under the bush. It's ginger, the lighter one. I've got one with us here. There's two down here and there's two my daughters. I heard now they've got tracks of another female.
Craig, just here, Craig talking next to me here. It's a bit of an update. They have got tracks of a single female to the south of us in the Mawati, where they think the cubs have been hidden. So as far as we know, the cubs did escape from the interaction with the Birmingham boys, and they have been seen since then. So it is, I don't think those cubs are dead yet, but as I say, I know it's very sad, but the possibility, or the probability rather, of those cubs surviving through to adulthood in this current situation with the current lion dynamics is very, very slim. I'm just going to try and move around so we can have a look at the hairy bed Matimba. The ginger is apparently lying up over there behind a termite mound. Let's see what we can sneak through here. And remember, we've got to be very careful because we started the morning with a flat tire and we don't have a spare. Oop. Over the stick. Oh, and the other female's moving. This is the female that seems to have some puncture wounds on her. I'm just trying to get us into a position where we can see her a bit better. Should pop up right just over my shoulder here, coming through the bush there. And let's try have a close look to see if she does have any visible injuries. She doesn't look to be walking too badly. Sorry guys, we're on a very steep slope here, so that might look a little bit wonky, but it's not. And you can see there is some puncture wounds on her bottom there. You can see a little bit of blood. Nothing too serious. I don't think. It looks like more of a little scrap. Let's try to get into a position where we can have a better look. That, Andrew?
That's pretty good, eh?
Okay. So, unfortunately, she's lying with her head facing us, so we can't really see. They are on the edge of a drainage line, so it can be quite difficult to maneuver in and around here.
So they always kind of.
And she's playing with a stick, so I don't think she's in too bad a nick. I think it looks like more of a little scrap. That's her. I definitely did see a bite mark on her bottom. Looks to maybe possibly be one on her right shoulder as well. You can see just where that sun is hitting, it looks like a little bit of blood on her neck there. As it doesn't look like she's walking with too much difficulty and whatnot, so even if there is anything, it is not too serious. So as I just mentioned, a few of the viewers have also noticed those puncture wounds and scratch marks on her back and wondering what could have caused it. And as I said earlier, from what we heard, they had a run-in with the Nkahuma pride. So it was lionesses fighting with lionesses, not the Birmingham boys. And because of the upheaval caused by the Birmingham boys, this is why there's a stronger likelihood of all these type of interactions happening as lions are pushed into territories or areas they don't want to be, trying to avoid the new male coalition that is moving in. So, just so we mentioned, it's possibly had a run-in with the Nkahumas. Obviously, we don't know for sure yet, but that's what information Craig has received from the east. And oh, there comes another male lion. Let's have a look. He's coming in behind Craig next to us. I can just see him through the bushes. But if they have possibly had a run-in with the Nkahumas, Lisa, Jan and Raisa are wondering, would the Nkahuma lionesses kill the Styx cubs? Most definitely. They are from a completely different female pride. Even though they might have the same dominant male, they would definitely kill those cubs. It is potential competition for space, for territory, for food. So they would definitely kill those cubs. Here he comes. Popping in behind Craig's vehicle there. And hopefully he's going to pop out around the front and join the other male who's lying just off the front of Craig's vehicle. There we go, there's Craig and the ginger Matimba. You can see Craig's got his camera out, taking some pictures. There we go. So there's Ginger. He's going to come lie in the shade of Craig's vehicle. And flop. Lions doing what lions do best, sleeping. So as we noticed that ginger-maned Matimba male walked down here, he does look like he's carrying a bit of injury. He has had that injury on his foot for a very long time. And he does seem to be carrying an injury. I'm not sure how bad it is yet. Quite often with lions, they have incredible resilience, and one good feed is enough to sort of rectify quite a few problems. But I think that injury he's been carrying for quite a long time. But it is wonderful to have the Matimbas and the Styx back on Djuma. Very, very interesting. Waiting to hear if someone... Oh, a little Steenbok literally nearly walked into these three lionesses and then just took off as she saw them. But the lionesses were a little bit slow in finding that Steenbok and only realized how close it was once it had already disappeared. It is warming up very quickly. Definitely one of the warmer mornings we've had in quite a while. So it does look like there's possibly a spider web or something on the lens. It's not. That is just one of these small little dead guarri bushes that's in front of us. There we go. That's possibly making it look like there's something on the lens, but don't worry, Andrew runs a tight ship and keeps that thing sparkling clean so you guys can get the best possible visuals. As far as I know, the ages of some of these lines, the Matimba males in particular, Josephine was wondering if we know how old the hairy-bellied Matimba is. From my understanding, he's around 10 or 11 years old. And it was quite interesting. I know you guys have been posting quite a lot about when the Matimba males came in and took over this area. And it's worked out, if you read the lion textbooks, almost perfectly 4 years ago. And that is about right for male coalitions to dominate over an area. So sort of 4 years, from about 6 years old to about 10, 11 years old, and then the next set of lions will come in and take on, and that ensures a genetic, rolling sort of genetic bloodline that keeps bringing new blood into the area. So we are sort of right on point for a male lion takeover now that the Matimbas have been dominant for the last 4 years or so. So guys, I'm just losing some layers. It's getting quite warm. You're joking. Just jump out. So someone has dropped something off Craig's vehicle right next to the Matimba male lion, who decided to completely ignore it, but I'm sure Craig's recovery process shall be quite interesting. So we might see some action, but action of the kind we don't normally see. Well, the girls have heard something or seen something. There are quite a lot of zebra in this area at the moment. And it is about the time of the day now that it starts warming up that a lot of the prey species will get moving. Andrew, can you see anything? You're quite a bit higher than me there.
I can't.
Obviously not close enough, whatever it was, to inspire them into movement, but so obviously there's quite a lot of speculation about where the Birmingham boys are at the moment. As far as I understand, they are in Buffels Hook to the north. I know some people were going to look for them this morning. They haven't been found yet, but they are to the north of us. And that's Lisa G who's wondering particularly where they are, and Angie from Ohio is also wondering. Sorry guys, just listening to the radio for a second. And Angie from Ohio was wondering whether female or lionesses will immediately accept a new coalition of males. Most definitely not, Angie, and we've seen that when we saw that in Kahuma carcass this week, and that is probably the fact that she was a little bit too aggressive and didn't show enough submission. And what happens in those situations, I don't think male lions, the new coalition, initially set out to kill those lionesses, but it does happen, and especially when there's more than one male in the coalition, is that she gets a bit aggressive, and the blood gets up and the aggression gets going, and sometimes lionesses are killed. The Mopoko coalition must have killed about 30 or 40 lions, if I remember correctly, over their pride takeover days, and it seems to be far more prevalent in large coalitions like the Mopoko and the Birminghams of 5 male lions, that they do kill more sort of lions than smaller coalitions when they take over. I'm not sure whether the Matimbas killed any lionesses when they took over this area. Maybe you guys who've been watching for a long time can let me know, and you can do that by emailing us on questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. So, lion prides, when it comes down to dinner, are not the nicest creatures in the world. And Jennifer from Toronto was wondering if the lioness has caught something small like a scrub hare, would the male lions try to take it from them? Most definitely, but I think that lioness might win that one. A scrub hare being so small, she could swallow it in one bite. But anything small, a stenbok or an impala or whatnot, the males would definitely rush in and try to take all the meat from them. And we can see there's that hairy belly Matimba still has that twitch. Let me get my binos out and have a close look, see if I can still see. The last time I thought it had something to do with his eye. It was quite a lot of sort of secretions coming out of his eye, and he might have either been, and he was mating at the time, so he might have taken I think he might have taken a swat in the face by one of the lionesses. But we're going to have a quick look now. You can see that sort of flick. Oh no, don't lie down. I can't see it then. So I'll have to. I'll wait for him to pop his head up again before having a look for that twitch. Craig is now performing some cell phone recovery techniques. I will give you a blow by blow. Okay, Craig is leaning out of the vehicle about 4 meters from 2 male lions. Fortunately, Craig is quite a long human like me, so hopefully he'll be able to recover it without too much fanfare. He's taking his hat off now. He's getting prepared. He's leaning out of the vehicle. He's using his door as a shield. Oh no, he hasn't got it yet. He's looking a little bit worried. I can see a bit of panic creeping into his face. He's now extending his legs. Oh, he disappeared. He's on the ground. Has he got it? He's got the cell phone. Well done, Craig. There we go. Surprisingly or not, guys, this happens quite a lot during different. There we go. A round of applause for Craig. Now he's trying to put his legs back in. But well done. And the lion didn't even wake up or notice it. Strangely enough, guys, that this type of thing actually happens quite a lot in sightings. Hats. Andrew likes to drop things quite a bit. I think Andrew has dropped. What have you dropped in sightings? Beanies, hats, pillows that he sits on. So it does happen quite often. And we are able to retrieve said things without too much problem with the animals, and as long as you do it pretty much like Craig did it there, you get into a position. He used his door to shield the lion from seeing him lean out and just pop that cell phone back up, and there we go. There was a little bit of excitement at the lion sighting. The rest of the lions were sleeping, and the lions were asleep, but the most exciting thing was watching Craig and his various facial expressions. I'm going to try head a bit closer to those Matimba males shortly, so you can try have a look at that twitch on hairy belly. But I think these lions look like they are very much settled for the day, especially if they had a scuffle with the Nkahuma pride or the lionesses last night. Let's go have a look if we can have a look at that twitch, and then I think possibly we'll just stand by here till the next vehicle comes in, and we're going to head on and see what else we can find. I don't think there's going to be too much more movement, but let's go have a good look at that twitch on the hairy beddies. All right. Got his face there, Andrew?
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's have a quick look. Other one, it's got the twitch, Andrew. The guy at the back there, the hairy belly.
But he's lying funny, so I don't know.
No, I can still see it twitching. I just want to see if there's any sort of fluid build-up around his eye. You can see it's still twitching slightly there. Just unfortunately the way he's lying, it is suppressing quite a bit of the twitch. But with binoculars, I think I can see a bit of sort of build-up. There we go. There you can see. Oh no, he's getting a bit hot there. And come lie. Poof. Oh, I love it when lions do that. There's nothing that can sort of lie down quite like a male lion. It just sort of flops. Wonderful. And that does give us an opportunity. There we go. Paw on paw, and you can. That looks like the foot that's got the injury. So you can see there's the injury there, quite close to the dew claw, and as far as I've been told, that original injury was from a snake bite, and I have confirmation of that from the Sabi Sands, but it has taken an incredible long time to heal. What we're going to do is we're going to move a little bit so we can have a look at Mr. Gingerbelly's twitching eye. Go. There we go, you can see that the twitch, it doesn't look to be too much fluid build-up around that eye. There is more. You can see, if you have a look between the two eyes, you can see that dark patch on the inside of the eye in comparison to the other eye, and it is leaking fluid, so it is possibly his eye that's causing that twitch. And maybe scratched it or got a thorn somewhere near there, and you can see that dark patch, and that's indicating that it's moist. So there is some leakage out of that eye, more leakage out of that eye in comparison to the left eye. And you can see he's got a few new scratches on his nose, and I'm afraid he's going to get a few more in the coming months if he runs into the Birminghams again. And it's quite funny how he's got his paw up there. You can actually see some of the claws extending just out while he's got his paw resting in that little grivia or raisin bush. we're having a look at this Twitch. Lisa G and Meladia, so they love Harry's Twitch. They call him Twitchy Harry. And well, as much as you love it, I'm quite sure he doesn't. It looks like it obviously something's very much irritating his eye, and that is causing the twitch. Sorry guys, I'm just going to be on the radio to call the next vehicle in. A station making the way towards the Ngala sighting. We are just to the south of you. You've driven past us. Basically, from your current position, head straight towards the drainage line. You should get our visual. The other easiest option is to go back to where the road crosses the drainage line. You should see us up the drainage line and then drive up the drainage line towards us. So guys, oh, he's visiting Andrew. And there we go, you can see that wound. As Andrew's going to swing around, he's walking very gingerly. Old Ginger is walking gingerly, and it seems like that wound is opened up again. It was looking a bit better a while ago, but it isn't looking so good now. So when I first arrived, he kept licking it and playing with it, which kept it open, but it did close up. And then I think this is possibly more some real physical, maybe possibly fighting or hunting that has opened that up. It looks like a tear rather than a worrying wound. Well, Vicky's just mentioning when she was on safari, someone dropped their passport in a lion sighting, so that must have been quite entertaining. I'm sure the guide would have done an excellent job recovering it. Sorry, that was Judy. And then everyone else is giving Craig a 10 out of 10 for form and whatnot. And you know what? I'm quite sure Craig would like to hear that, so I'm going to call him on the radio. Craig. Craig, our viewers have given you a 10 out of 10 for form, flexibility, for retrieving that cell phone from the lion sighting.
Oh, wonderful. Please thank all of you. I want to bring you hard. I'd like to...
Craig being quite the comedian that he is, he says thanks very much, and he would like to thank all the viewers and thank his parents and his employers for giving him the opportunity to work in the bush. So well played, Craig. the opportunity to work in the bush. So well played, Craig. So guys, I don't think we're gonna get too much more action out of these lines, so we're gonna possibly head on, but obviously it's up to you guys. This is your safari, so I think this is about the most movement we're gonna see. So you guys let me know, should we stay or should we go? I think it might be, as it gets warmer, it could be quite nice to go have a look. I think we might find some ellies around the waterholes. There were a lot of elephants around our camp last night. We could hear them throughout the night. So we've got the one male lying here, and the others joined the lionesses over there. Well, I did ask you guys to find out if you knew whether the Matimbas, when they took over, killed any lionesses. And Blair's let me know. Thanks very much, Blair. She says, and she knows about the Mapoko and Majingalan killing other lions, but there is no record of the Matimbas doing it. And that's not to say they didn't. It's just to say that no one saw it or heard of it. So, chatting about all the line dynamics and the coalition movements and stuff that's happening at the moment, Lisa G, thanks for another question, Lisa. Lisa is wondering which coalition of males did the Matimbas push out. As far as I'm aware, it was the Majingalans. They pushed the Majingalan males further to the west and to the south. Was the coalition that the Matimbas pushed out, and now the Matimbas are facing the same problem that they were once causing, as the Birmingham males sort of get a bit older, braver and bigger, and start moving further and further into what is traditionally Matimba territory. So, chatting about male lion coalitions, Riley from Washington is wondering, do I know how many coalitions are in the Sabi Sands? I'm probably going to forget a few, but there are some probably down to the south and east that I'm not sure of. We have the Matimbas, the Majingalans, the Birminghams, which all, and the Sand River males, the Styx males, and I think there's one or two further down south, way down south, but probably between 5 and 8 coalitions in the Sabi Sands at the moment. So guys, it seems like the majority want to head off, so we're going to leave these lazy lions and see what else we can go find out there. I think let's go look for some ellies, nice and warm, possibly heading down towards the waterholes for a drink. So let's go see what we can find. Bye bye lions, watch out for the Birminghams. Leaving one station with Matimba and Styx, one station making their way. Now hopefully I can find the road. Andrew, which way's the road?
Oh, I'm the wrong person.
Fortunately, I have a reasonable sense of direction and I know where we're going. I'm just being very careful about how we get there. Obviously, with not having any spare tire with me this morning. So, chatting about looking for roads and trying to find them, Denise from Irvine has wondered, how did all the roads in Djuma get their names? Well, they would have been named quite a long time ago, way before most of us had been around, and possibly a lot of the roads would have been named even before I was born. But probably most of them got their names in the early 90s when Wasabi Sands became a very commercial, or became more commercial in terms of the game lodges and that. And a lot of them would have been named by the original guides, trackers, landowners. This road, for example, Rebecca's, is named after the owner's daughter, so is Zoe's. Philemon's cut line, Philemon's dip, I'm sure there was someone called Philemon who worked here at some stage. Aubrey's road is named after Aubrey, who still works here, and he's one of the guides. And then various other things, a lot of them are named after animals, so, or sort of directionally almost. So Central Road runs through the center of the property. And Mvubu Road runs towards the Djuma Dam, so occasionally Mvubu meets hippo. So obviously sometimes there are hippos in that area, especially after dark, going or feeding. Hippo Pools Road leads up to Buffels Hook Dam. So obviously a few hippos were seen at Buffels Hook, as there was or is the most popular hippo pool on Djuma. And Twin Dams Road leads to where there used to be twin dams next to each other. There's only one now, the other has been washed away. Weaver's Nest, I'm sure there was just a Weaver's Nest on it. And a lot of the names will be, as I said, from a long time ago, so even though they might not be relevant now, so I'm quite sure possibly Hyena Road possibly had a hyena den on it at some time in the past. So we were chatting about things falling off the vehicles as we saw Craig's deft recovery of a bright pink iPhone. So Jenny on Twitter is wondering, have we ever actually lost a cameraman? Well, I can say we have once, that I know of since I've been here. We were not live, and I will still maintain it was not my fault, because I know it wasn't my fault. I was literally doing this speed and talking to said cameraman, whose name is Brian, and we were heading towards final control. They wanted to do some testing on the equipment, and I'm not sure, and Brian still to this day is not sure what happened, but he just sort of rolled off the vehicle, and his time in the circus obviously served him well, because he landed on his feet and kept running along next to me. That is the only time I know of us losing a cameraman. All of us have been stuck by a lot of thorns though, cameraman and guide alike. I actually got a good whipping by a very flexible branch the other morning while we were following, what were we following that morning? Cheetah. I think it was the cheetah where I got a whipping. But yeah, it does happen, and that's part and parcel of being out here and following the animals. And for me, a couple of thorns in the arm, or in the, even worse is when they fall into the vehicle and you fiddle around and you sort of whoop, sit like that and you get a thorn in your bottom. That's by far the worst, but I feel a small price to pay for being able to go out and search for animals on a daily basis. So I'm going to keep to sort of my original plan that we've been sidetracked from. I want to go check along the eastern area of Djuma, see if we can find any tracks of leopards. I'm also going to check around the waterholes for ellies as it gets warmer now. It is seriously warm compared to what it has been over the last while. It's become very hot quite quickly, and I mean it's not even 9 o'clock in the morning, and we're probably sitting, I would guess, at around 22-23 degrees, and the layers are peeling off fast and furiously, and I'm quite happy, which means possibly quite soon I'll be able to wear shorts in the morning, which is far more comfortable than long pants, but I just can't deal with the cold. Oh no, now I've lost my earpiece inside my jersey somewhere. And I know it must be completely ridiculous for those of you who live in the northern hemisphere to hear us complaining that like sort of 40s, 50s Fahrenheit is cold, but you must remember it's all relative. I tend to avoid cold places on purpose. I think the coldest I've ever been in my life is when I was across in the US of A and Canada in February. And that was a terrible idea, but it was for work. Oh, what tracks do we have here? Just Howard the hyena on its nightly patrol. Since we've been chatting about the weather, and we do have some beautiful vistas over the Drakensberg Mountains, and Dylan from Iowa is wondering, do those mountains affect the weather at Djuma at all? I think we're a little bit far from them. Where I live, which is almost underneath the Drakensberg Mountains, just outside a little town called Hoedspruit, we definitely get a lot more rain because the mountains are there, and it does very much affect the local weather in that area. Here I think we're just that little bit too far away, and we obviously are quite a lot more arid here than around the town of Hoedspruit. What's that there, Andrew? Hyena? Howard the hyena. Have a quick check down here, see if there are any tracks before we head back up towards Twin Dams. So, keeping on with the weather, Ricina in Australia says it's a lovely 27 degrees there in Queensland. See, guys, that's a more civilized temperature, 27 degrees Celsius. So probably I think that's close to the 70s Fahrenheit. But that's still sort of on the cooler side for me. Sorry about that, folks. It seems like we had a few gremlins that crept out through that little drainage line. We're back with you now, and we're continuing on our adventure. We're just bypassing Asima there, who's looks like she's heading back to camp for a well-earned breakfast. Asima's the one who found those lions this morning. sorry about that. We dropped through another little drainage line, which caused a little bit of a breakup. So what I was chatting about is that when I was younger, I was building camps in the Zambezi Valley in Zambia, and there it can get sort of well over 40, 45 degrees Celsius, so well over 110, 115 Fahrenheit, and we had no electricity, so no fans and air conditioners and other such luxurious things. So, oh, well spotted, Andrew. So what we used to do is cocoys and sheets, so things like this, we'd literally put them into the water, and then when we wanted to go to bed, we'd actually take a whole sheet off our bed, put it into the river, and then at night quickly put that over you and try fall asleep while it's still wet. But it was so hot, our body heat would actually dry those sheets before you woke up at 4 in the morning. So incredibly hot, but there are ways and means to deal with that heat when you are in the bush without having modern luxuries. Fortunately here at Juma we don't have to live that rough. I do have a fan in my room. So there is a fish eagle up in the tree above the drying Twin Dam waterhole and waiting to take advantage of what catfish are left, and I can't actually see any movement this morning in the pool. There we go, African fish eagle. Really enjoying the dry season. Makes fishing a little bit easier when everything's stuck in one little mud wallow. Can't see any movement of catfish in the pond just yet. Trying to see if I can see any tracks of catfish possibly leaving the pond and trying to move off to another one. I can't see that either. Not to say there aren't catfish still in that mud, I'm quite sure there are. There we go, you can see it almost gone. Grey go-away bird flying across. And there we can see, I think just to the left is, I saw a slight bit of movement under the water, a little bit to the right there, Andrew. I think I saw a catfish, but very, very slight movement. There, see, it looks like it could be a catfish back, it could be a bit of drying mud. Quite difficult to tell at the moment. Okay, let's maneuver on, see what else is out there. Sorry, Franklin. Okay, off we go. The southern boundary now. What I am hoping is that possibly is being shadow in Sindile. sorry about that. Again, as we went through that little drainage line, we had a bit of problems there. But as I was saying, I'm hoping to find some leopard tracks. Apart from Shadow and Sindile, we have been a little bit quiet on the leopard front, and I am hoping that's going to be changing quite soon, and I'm hoping we'll find some tracks of any other leopards crossing in along our eastern boundary this morning. Thank you very, very much to John and Anna on Twitter, who said I am a leopard tracking terminator. I really do appreciate it. I do try my best. We all do, and one must realize that finding these animals is very much a team game, and we all work together to bring you guys the best sightings we can. So, talking about tracking, Jim on Twitter is wondering how do we determine a fresh track as opposed to an old track. So let me get a little bit further down and off this main access road and see if I can find some nice sand, and I'll show you how. Going to get a little bit further away up to where there's some nice sandy patches, and I can show you a bit of a tracking exercise. The wind is picking up quite strongly. It could be a bit of a windy day, but still a warm windy day. Hopefully we'll get some ellies heading towards the water as we move back down towards the Buffelshoek waterhole. Just looking for that perfect substrate to show you guys the tracks. I'm going to be quite careful where I place the sun. As the sun gets higher, tracking becomes more difficult. Less shadows thrown to see the tracks nicely, but we will try and give you a good demonstration on how to age tracks. So we do have various wild fruits that grow out here in the bush, and Josh in Connecticut was wondering, do we have any, and is it in season now? There'll be almost no fruit. I think that some of the jackalberries or African ebonies have started fruiting, but the fruits aren't ripe yet. But most of the fruiting will happen in the sort of summer months from November through to April, May. At this time of the year, very little. Okay, so Jim, here's some nice soft sand. We can have a look at how to age a track. How's this, Andrew? We're good here?
Perfectos.
Yeah, there we go. Let's put my boot down. Can we see my boot print there?
Yes.
Okay, now we can have a look. My boot print now, it's got really nice, oh, let me move out of the shadow, defined edges. They're quite sharp. On a windy day like today, it is actually quite a bit harder to age tracks. And if you also put my hand there, you can have a look. Nice, clear outlines. You can even see the little bumps and different grooves in my hand. So one of the things, especially in the early morning, that we look for, and this is just to get a general idea whether the track is from the morning or from later or from before in the evening, is we look for a little dove track, so like a little bird tracks crossing, and we also look for sort of little insect tracks that sort of go like this, or antlion tracks that will cut through, and that can tell us that that was probably early in the evening. And let's just do this again. But possibly one of the easier ways to age tracks is you look at the edge and how sharp the edge is. Wind is probably the biggest destroyer of tracks. So if I blow on it now, just a little bit, you see how those edges become very undefined. And if I blow on it a bit more, and you can see the track starts disappearing. So generally we don't have much wind at night in this area. We do sometimes, but generally not, and the wind is during the day. So when we do have those nice clear tracks, by the afternoon the edges won't be as hard. There's probably signs of quite a lot of insects and birds from during the day moving across, or we look at diurnal animals like zebra, wildebeest, giraffe, impala crossing over the track. Crossing over the tracks. But it is a science, and not an exact science. I would definitely say tracking is definitely more of an art, and you get better and better the more time you spend doing it. And sometimes a lot of tracking is just educated guessing, following a hunch, thinking like the animal. If I was a lion, where would I go from this particular spot? If I was a leopard, what would I do from here? And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but fortunately I seem to be lucky and it works out more often than not. So Jim, I hope that helps you a little bit to understand how we gauge the age of tracks. So, Georgianne, welcome on Drive, Georgianne. Georgianne was wondering whether the tracking team was out helping me, or am I flying solo this morning. The tracking team is doing something of far more vast importance than tracking at the moment. Actually, cancel that. I just heard the tracking team. Just let me know, Jamie's calling me. Standing by, Jamie. Copy, thanks very much. Confirm you copied about that Ngala sighting at Philemon's Dip. That track for us. Andrew, that track there, middle of the road.
It is a male lion.
That is correct, Andrew. We have got tracks of more male lions. So, sorry, back to your question there quickly, Georgianne. Jamie is out. She's checking down in the south western sections, and she has. We are also trying to get the jigger fixed as quickly as possible. So she's standing by for the car doctor to come and try get the jigger up on the road. But now, quite interesting. We've got male lion tracks here. I can only see one male lion track here. It's not to say there might not be others, but those are definitely quite nice and fresh. I'm just going to get a hold of Aubrey, who's been down this side this morning, but a bit further to the north. Stations and Konzo of Wanunangala heading north on Cheetah Cut Line from junction with Drakensberg, Gledwood. Okay, sorry guys, let me just have a look. I think this is I actually think this is from the general direction and changing here. I think this is the same tracks we're following that crossed into Arethusa. I think this is the Nkahuma Pride. I've just seen tracks of quite a few females. They slept here. I think they were trying to move out of this area, and Craig did call in tracks of the Nkahuma or Pride of Lions heading down Central Road. So I don't think this is the Birminghams. I think that male track I saw there is possibly Junior. So let's not get too excited. I don't think these are worth following up on. We're going to continue and try see if we can find something else. There are some elephant tracks heading straight down the road as well. We have a new viewer. Welcome out on safari with us, Chris. Chris is curious to know how many prides of lions we have. Well, Chris, in our Traverse area, the main pride of lions we see is the Nkahuma Pride, as well as the Styx Pride, who we were with earlier this morning. And on the edge, we can possibly sometimes see the Shimungwe Pride, which is a nomadic pride of youngsters. And then also we have seen the Mangen Pride or Tsalala Breakaway Pride, more on Arethusa than on Juma. But those are the 3-4 prides that I've seen since I've been here. There is always a possibility of new prides coming in from somewhere else. We are in a 3.5 million hectare open system. So there are no fences between us and the Greater Kruger National Park and our neighbors. So the animals meander where they please. And so there is always a possibility that we can have new animals that have never been viewed before just arrive. Having spent a long time in the bush, I've been lucky enough to experience quite a lot of different things. And Luke on Twitter is wondering if I've ever been in a sighting where I felt and had such aggression from the animals that I felt necessary to leave. Luke, I have, normally with elephants, strange enough, and that's why you'll notice if you watch me approach elephants, I approach them very carefully and I'll read their body language far before I approach too closely. Fortunately, we do get to know the groups of elephants quite well in this area. Sorry guys, just going to check there's a car up ahead. And the car's just driving down the road. We're going to head off now towards Buffalo's Hook waterhole to see what we can find. Hopefully there might be some elephants in that area. see the bush is drying out fantastically at the moment. As I said, I've been mentioning we are in for a very dry year. It is natural to go in through these wet and dry cycles. We've been through a very wet cycle over the last 7 years, and now it's time for the dry. From a game viewing point of view, dry cycles are fantastic. There's less grass, you can see far further into the bush, and also the animals are limited to the amount of water that's around, so they have to focus on certain water points, which can make it a little bit easier for us to find them. And it is a time of plenty for the predators during the dry cycle. Obviously your herbivores tend to suffer a little bit when there's not as much nutrients around in terms of grazing and browsing. So it is a good time to be a carnivore at the moment. Not so good if you're a buffalo or whatnot. And you'll notice incredibly as it's become drier and drier over the past few months, the amount of buffalo kills that the lions are making in comparison to the summer months. The summer months, the lions are not in good condition, but the buffalo in really good condition. Lots of really good green grass, lots of water around. They don't have to travel big distances between food and water, but now they are forced to travel quite big distances between where they are feeding and water. Also, the quality of the food that they are feeding on is not nearly as good as it is in the summer months. Whoa, caught my hat. That was close. The wind is definitely picking up. But so they're now, the lions are definitely targeting the buffalo even more than they would during the summer months. A fit, healthy, big buffalo bull is quite a scary prospect even for a big pride of lions. But now their conditions just not as good as it was, and that is making them easier targets for the lions. And you might find the same with hippo and giraffe and the other really big species that lions do target from time to time. And this by no means means they will not go for them during the wet season. It's just a little bit easier, so they do tend to hunt these bigger animals more in the dry season. So occasionally we will see different animals feeding off normally elephant dung, and it's generally your smaller little mammals and birds. Hornbills, francolin really love to sift through and feed off elephant dung. Squirrels as well. Elephants have a very bad digestive system. That's why they have to eat so much. They will only digest about 40% of what they intake, so there is a lot of food and nutrients for those willing to go play in the poo, so to speak, and get that different grass and seeds and whatnot from the elephant dung. And that Gregory on Twitter was actually wondering about that. And it seems other animals eating buffalo dung, I've only really seen carnivores from time to time, and it seems they are known to do that as a probiotic. If they have stomach ailments, they will sometimes eat buffalo dung. We've seen Mvula, one of the dominant male leopards in this area, do that, and we've also seen the Nkahuma pride do that. Okay, we're now going to be approaching in the next couple of minutes Buffelshoek waterhole. I'm hoping there are going to be some elephants on this really hot windy day. If we don't get any luck there, we'll make our way towards around the Juma waterhole. So zoomies, if there are any ellies around there, let me know so we can get there and show you guys them with the big camera we've got on the back here. And for those of you who might be been watching the Arathusa and the Juma waterholes and might have any updates for us, you can send those updates through to us on Game Drive so we can possibly respond to those updates. Excuse me! Thank you, Andrew. Well, Andrew's been sneezing all morning. I decided I needed a big one. It is quite dusty at this time of the year. But sorry, as I was saying, if you have been watching those dam cameras and you'd like to send us an update, you can do that by emailing us questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. And you guys have helped us find leopard and lion and ellies and all sorts before by keeping a close eye on those cameras and sending us rushing off to go try and find those animals. I think the last one was actually when you sent James off and he found Kunyuma with that kudu kill. So really exciting, and we really do appreciate those updates from you guys on the dam cameras. So when I get the opportunity to, and I've got a nice longish downhill, I'll actually switch off the vehicle, pop it into neutral, and let us freewheel. It does give me a bit of a chance to use my ears a bit better in case there is some noise. The bush is constantly telling you what's going on around you, so as long as you are prepared to listen to what the bush is telling you, and that can quite often really help you in locating animals, often far more important than your sight. So Andrew, anything that bubbles up?
A few turtle doves.
Andrew says turtle doves. I'm not so sure we're even going to find a turtle dove. I've been watching the road carefully. No tracks coming in just yet. But hopefully we're both wrong and there's more than a turtle dove. I think there's going to be an Egyptian goose, a blacksmith lapwing, and a three-banded plover. And maybe one turtle dove. Oh dear.
Impala.
Oh, impala. A beautiful big herd of impala heading down to drink. I'm just going to maneuver us into a good spot to see them. That hole and I have nearly had a few altercations. That was a little bit of a close one. There we go. We're both wrong, and we've got a nice big group of impala heading down. I do not see any lapwings, geese. I do see one little three-banded plover running, disappearing, but I think this is going to be quite a nice sighting of these impala drinking. Looks like quite a big herd coming down. Very strong wind picking up now. You can see the ripples over the water, and that could make the impala even more nervous as they come down to drink. Obviously this is a time where they are potentially vulnerable as they turn their backs to the bush and to drink. And there's always the possibility of a crocodile as well in the water, and the only way to make sure that you never get bitten by a crocodile in Africa as a human being is to assume every puddle has a crocodile. And as we go through, you'll notice there are multiple males in the group, and now that the rutting is over, there's far less competition amongst the impala males and impala herds. The majority of those females will all be pregnant and will probably start lambing in November sometime. You can see how quite often they don't like to drink from the same place. They'll drink a little bit, move around, drink again, and it's obviously to try to keep the crocodiles guessing. There we can see there's multiple males there. You can see how they are quite nervous while they're at the water's edge. So not only is there a threat possibly of crocodiles, there's a threat of lion or leopard or cheetah taking advantage of them while they are not watching their backs. You'll notice they won't stay and drink for very long. They'll try to get the drinking over as quickly as possible and then move off and continue to feed. And absolutely incredible animals, impala. They're sort of a jack of all trades. They're able to browse and graze, which means they both eat grass and bushes, whereas most species are quite catholic in their diets and will only eat one. So as we let those impala move along, on the antelope species, Heidi from Zurich is wondering, has she just missed seeing eland on the live drives, or don't we have them in this area? They do occur. It is possible, specifically at this time of the year when it is very dry and they're forced to move a long way between water. Generally they do live in areas, they prefer Mapani Veld, which we have to the north of us. This is not the best eland country in the world, but it is possible to see them. I have never seen eland in all the years I've been in and out of the Sabi Sands, but that's not to say it is impossible. I'm quite sure over the years that people have been doing game drives here, they have seen them. I don't think they've ever been seen on the live safaris. I'm actually pretty sure they haven't, but it is possible. I have seen them in the Kruger, not very far from here, and it would be really wonderful if we did manage to capture them. So guys, I'm about to go through a big dip, so I might have a little bit of signal breakup, so I'm just going to keep quiet and move through it as fast as possible. Well, there's Andrew's turtle dove. So Andrew was right, there was a turtle dove on the other side of the dam. Well done, Andrew.
Thank you.
And we'll leave the turtle dove to do what turtle doves do. Hoping we might find some elephants in this warm, dry wind down at the waterhole. It is still a possibility. that we might find them somewhere else. Take a road I take very seldom, unless I'm actually following an animal onto that road, but I feel like I haven't taken it in so long. We might get lucky, hopefully with some tracks and that can set us up for the sunset safari. Well, as you can see, and you notice, most of us are always in sort of khaki colors, bush colors, dark greens, khaki, grays, and Heather from Maryland says, do all the guides generally have to wear khaki, and do we ever get tired of wearing khaki? Well, yes, all the guides do. It is sort of neutral in the bush, it doesn't stick out too much, and whether it gets tired of wearing khaki, well, not me, and also this way I never have to worry about any fashion. And according to my father, who also pretty much only wears khaki, you come into fashion, he's worked it out, about every 13 years khaki is really fashionable again. So every 13 years us guys out in the bush are at the cutting edge of high fashion, but then for 13 years we're not, and I'm not sure where we're sitting on that cutting edge of high fashion at the moment. With the current hipster vibes, which I find very, very strange, I think we're probably not so cutting edge of fashion at the moment. But in my personal opinion, if you want to be cutting edge of fashion, that's fine. I'd rather go look for lions. So we're on Hyena Road, which I don't utilize too often. Trying to see if we can possibly find something here, and we're also going to pop out and move down towards the Juma Dam Cam, hoping as it gets warmer, the elephants that I heard during the night, elephants to the left. How's that? I love it when a plan comes together. So now, as I was mentioning earlier, with elephants you probably have to be the most careful. So we stop off a little bit further away, and it is quite a windy day, and sometimes elephants can be quite upset in the wind, and just gauging their behavior from a bit of a distance, they look very relaxed. I don't think they're going to be too upset with us. So I'm just going to meander in off the road here a little bit. You can see a female and a calf. Treat every elephant sighting differently. You cannot be the same with all elephants. As you can see, I can't see any aggressive behavior from her at all. She's continued eating, even with the little one there, and even in this sort of strong wind, which can sometimes upset elephants. And a lot of people who get charged and chased by elephants, it's purely because they misread the behavior, and it's a very important thing to be able to read elephant behavior and what we do. And if these elephants had showed any sort of slight sign of being upset with our presence and whatnot, we would have stayed quite far away from them. We would have viewed them, and I definitely wouldn't have off-roaded to get a better view of them. So every situation is different, and the same elephant that might be completely relaxed today, tomorrow might not be, and you just need to learn how to gauge every situation for what it is. Lovely little guy there. And the little guy probably still trying to master the use of his trunk. Very heavily still reliant on mother's milk. You can see that fork-tailed drongers hawking around the elephants, taking advantage of any little insect disturbed. So unfortunately these ellies are heading off into quite a thick area and there's a big drainage line ahead, so I'm not going to be able to follow them. And baby ellies, while they are trying to learn to use their trunk, you can see he's going down one of those steep little holes there. But unfortunately, I don't think our vehicle's going to get through at the moment. Incredibly thick block that they're going into. I actually can see a way I can follow them, but I'm not going to. The strong gusting wind, a very young elephant in the herd, and we've had a nice view of them, and we do see enough elephant that we don't need to go bashing and crashing after elephant. It quite often can get them quite upset and disturb them, and obviously we don't want to do that. We want to view them in their most natural way possible. So they are heading towards the Buffalo's Hook waterhole, but they are quite a long way away, probably still a kilometer or two. So I'm quite sure they're probably going to go for a midday drink in that area. We're going to head back onto the road and hopefully we can find some more elephants that might be heading towards the Djuma Dam, Cam. I would definitely keep a strong eye out on the Djuma Dam in this hot, dry, dusty weather. Lots of wind. Elephants tend to be quite thirsty in this weather. So I'm quite sure if you keep an eye, you might have some ellies coming down onto that camera during the day. So the gamble of taking Hyena Road, a road I very seldom take, has paid off quite nicely. A nice little feeding herd of elephants. What is that through there? Ah, there's a fallen down tree that I spotted there. I thought it looked like a rocky outcrop I didn't know about, and I know quite a lot of you guys are fans of the flowers, and unfortunately during these dry winter months flowers are few and far between, but one flower that does like rocky outcrops, and I've seen in lots of other places in the Sabi Sands, is the Impala lily, a beautiful, beautiful flower. And I have been trying to see, maybe possibly there might be a rocky outcrop I don't know about yet on Djuma somewhere. Highly unlikely, might be walked and driven around here, but always worth having a check. So I was saying, if there wasn't a rocky outcrop, it might be worth going to have a look for that flower, but unfortunately it wasn't. It was just a big fallen down tree. And there we go, more elephants in the road ahead of us. All good things come to those that wait. No need to go crashing after the others, where we can have some right next to us. Looks like a young bull hanging off the peripheries of the breeding herds. Hello, little man. You can see immediately he's not as happy as the others were. He's lifted his head, he's turned away from us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit here and I'm going to keep talking in a very nice calm voice, and that often works very well with elephants. So I want him to just be calm, and I can watch his body language is already relaxing, and then also when I start the vehicle to move a bit closer, you start it and you let it run for a few seconds. So can you imagine how disconcerting it'd be if you start and then boom and you start driving, and a lot of those noises might be construed as aggressive by the elephant. Now there we go, so there's a bit of displacement behavior there. He's shaking his head, letting us know he's big and strong, but his tail's down and his general body language is telling me it's okay. So I'm just gonna then now literally inch forward again. But also the important thing is not to speed away or rev or make lots of noise, and that will actually teach him to chase vehicles and become aggressive. But he's not very relaxed. I think he's more than likely just going to move away from us. Just keep watching him carefully, and here's a great chance to show you about elephant behavior. Sorry, apparently guys, we had a gremlin that crawled in for a few seconds. So this is a really good lesson for you guys, especially if any of you are planning on coming on a self-drive safari to the Kruger National Park. You can watch how we deal with elephants and read their behavior. So you can see what I talk about, displacement behavior. He doesn't walk directly across from us, he walks away from us. He's putting more distance between us, and that's telling us that he is slightly uncomfortable. And it could be from the wind, it could be the fact that he's been chased by a big dominant bull. There we go, he's going to shake his head at us again, lift his head, he's showing us he's big, he's strong, and we mustn't push him. But you can see now his general body language is far more nervous and actually scared of us. So I'm not going to push the sighting at all. I'm not going to put the situation. I'm going to let him move off till he feels he's got enough space between us. And this is very common with elephants. They will go walk and stop behind a bush, and that bush gives them a sort of false sense of security. And you can see now his tail's wagging, a lot more relaxed. He feels a lot more comfortable with that bush, so he's feeding again. We're not going to push this anymore. We're not going to go any closer to him. There's no need. And taking your time with animals like this that aren't the most relaxed, I mean, it's always great, and we're so lucky we have so many relaxed herds of elephants in this area and relaxed elephants. But taking your time with an animal like this that's not relaxed and doing the right things so as not to cause a sort of an elephant that chases cars and whatnot. And it's such small, simple things that you can do that will go a long way. And you can see now he's completely relaxed, feeding off the grass, his tail's wagging, his head's back down. And as I said, the same animal tomorrow might be completely relaxed. So you never know. Oopsie, I'm getting my feet caught in wires here. So you never know what's going to happen. And I'm sure if I spent an hour or two doing this very quietly, keeping my voice nice and calm like this while elephants close by, I'm quite sure if we spent an hour here, we would be able to see him from very close. But as I said, often there's no need to put the animals in that situation. I'm hoping he will move a little bit further out into the open so you guys can have a view of him. I think he's going to be an incredibly nice bull when he's older. And you can see those tusks, there we go, and he's on the move. He's just gone behind that quarry bush. I'm going to move off to the right, and I'm going to do the same sort of displacement behavior he showed us, and start the car, let it run. I'm not going to drive straight towards him. I'm going to drive off to the side, showing him that I'm giving him space as well, and hopefully he should just keep feeding. And that's exactly what he's doing. So there we go, and you can see why I think he's going to be quite a spectacular bull when he's older. I'd say he's still under 20 years old, so he's still a teenager, and he's already got very nice long straight ivory, so fantastic. And we will want him to be as nice and relaxed as possible around the game drive. So you can see now, because I didn't drive the car straight down the road, I changed the angle slightly and took us showing the same sort of behavior as the elephant, walking away from us but still looking at us, but so creating distance but also sort of not giving up any ground. So we did the same thing, and instead of shaking his head like he did a little bit earlier, he's still calm, he's still feeding, and so far this is turning to be, there we go, hello little man. So he might turn around and give us a little head shake just to remind us that he's there, but I think pretty much done now. He's going to continue feeding. He'll probably move his way towards that small breeding herd we saw and keep a safe distance. He's probably been a bit naughty, that's why he's been chased this far away from the rest of the herd, and quite often you do find these young bulls on the peripheries. But guys, it has been an absolutely wonderful sunrise safari. I apologize that you are only stuck with me, but until we get that other vehicle up and running, which will hopefully be the sunset safari, no guarantees. I'm definitely not, I might be quite good at reading elephant behavior, but at reading car engines I'm a complete failure, I'm afraid. But really thanks for joining us. It's been great. Nice to catch up with the Matimbas and Styx and see they're still okay. Very interesting that the Styx lionesses might have had a fight with the Nkahuma pride. So quite a lot of interesting stuff happening at the moment with the lion dynamics, and it is fireside chat this evening. So guys, don't forget to join us for that. We will be discussing a little bit of what's happening with the Birminghams, Matimbas, Nkahumas, Styx. So there will be quite a lot of chat about that this evening on the fireside chat, so don't forget about that. But Andrew and I have thoroughly enjoyed having you guys on the vehicle. We really do appreciate all your questions. They make it really worthwhile for us, and we do love sharing our knowledge and passion for the African bushveld with you. And hopefully you'll see us on the sunset safari. Hopefully we'll have 2 vehicles out. If not, you'll be with Jamie, and then on the at fireside chat there'll be James, myself and Jamie. And it's been great. Nice little elephants at the end, and I'm going to try see if he looked like he might come actually right up to us now, but he's keeping a quarry bush between us. But I'm going to let Andrew try get you some visuals for the last few seconds of drive, because I'm quite sure after 3 hours you are completely tired of looking at me and would much rather look at this little elephant bull. And we'll see you this evening for fireside chat and the sunset safari. Here we go, he's walking past us.